But if we ever get to the point where we're missing that being with him, we're missing the point, because that is the point of all of it. Give Mom your hands. Give Mom your hands. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop. Mama. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. What do you see? God would keep on rescuing his people, and the time was coming when God would send another brave hero like Daniel, who would love God and do what God said, whatever it cost him, even if it meant he would die. And together they would pull off the greatest rescue the world has ever known. See Daniel sleeping with the lions there? Oh, you're gonna give him a kiss? You're gonna give the lion a kiss? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. That's a juicy kiss. Love you, Bubba.
Say thank you, God, for always providing for us, for Mommy making a yummy, yummy, yummy breakfast. Help us to have a good day, to always trust in you. Everything we need. And you and Judy into the head.
Yes, Jesus.
Amen.
Amen. Just dusting off the camera over here. Hello and welcome back to my channel. It has been a full month since I have said those words. So if you are new to my channel, or maybe you just missed my last video, I've been doing a little social media break sabbatical situation. And I did explain in my last video just honestly where I was at and why I felt like I needed to do that. And so I'll have that linked above if you want to check it out. But the break was supposed to be 3 weeks, ended up being a full month, which I'll explain. And honestly, it wasn't fully what I expected it to be, and something happened that I did not at all anticipate, so we'll talk more about that later. But this is my first video back today, and I thought it would be fun to come back with a vlog so we could sort of just hang out, catch up, talk about how things have been. And so I just got Judah down for his first nap of the day. He is now doing crib naps, which has been a game changer. They're still not perfect. We do still have days where he'll take like a 30-minute nap, but for the most part, just the consistency of continuing to practice the crib naps, he's doing them really well. He'll usually sleep around like an hour and a half. And so he is down for that. And all throughout my sabbatical, I was allowing myself to sleep in until Judah's first feed of the morning, so 7 a.m. And then this time, his first nap of the day was solely devoted to time with God. So no housework, no like work, because I obviously wasn't doing that. But whether he slept for 30 minutes, 2 hours, this time was solely devoted to time with God. And it was so restoring. And now though, as we're getting ready, or as I'm transitioning to go back to work, so as I'm filming this, I haven't come back onto social media yet, but I am back to work and prepping all the behind the scenes stuff, obviously filming so that I can come back back on next week, which is this week, aka real time as you're watching this. But anyways, as I'm getting ready to go back to work, I'm kind of changing that routine because I will need these nap times to get some work done. And so I'm gonna go back to waking up at 6 a.m. to have my quiet time before the day starts. And I don't know if it's interesting to you at all to hear how people sort of structure their days, but I always love like the nitty-gritty details of that because I love seeing like, okay, you really value these things and like how do you fit it all in the day? How do you structure your day to make it work? And so Tyler and I just came up with a new morning routine that has been so good because it allows both of us a full hour in the morning to spend time with God, and then it also allows us time together as a family to sit down and have breakfast together. So basically what we're doing is Tyler will get up a little bit before 6 and he'll shower so he's like ready for work and everything, and then he'll go out into the living room and get Judah whenever he wakes up. Judah's usually up by like 6:15ish, I would say, and so he'll hang out in the living room with Judah, play with him, read to him, do all the things, and I get from 6 to 7 here in the room to do my quiet time. And it's perfect timing for me to be going back into work because up until about 2 weeks ago I was still feeding Judah at 3 a.m. Around 3 a.m. every night. And so for the first time in literally almost 11 months, for the past 2 weeks, I've been sleeping fully through the night, which has been also a game changer, which makes it also a little bit easier to get up at 6 a.m. to have that quiet time. So I have 6 to 7, and then at 7 I go out into the living room, and that's my time to play with Judah. I'm usually also getting a little bit of housework done, maybe like starting a load of laundry, sorting laundry, all that kind of stuff. And Tyler gets from 7 to 8 here in the room to have his quiet time. And then as I'm out in the living room, like I said, I'm doing all that stuff. And then I usually start breakfast around 7:45. And then at 8 o'clock, we all get to sit down together as a family, and we have from 8 to 8:30 when Tyler leaves for work, just time together as a family. So it's been really sweet, and it allows us to both have just dedicated time with God. So every day during Judah's nap time, this has been my little quiet time setup. I'm looking at it right now, and I'll also place it on screen for you. And then all throughout my sabbatical, the main book that I've been reading through has actually been the book of Revelation. I had read through Revelation before, but I had never like really studied it. And I honestly feel like I was kind of intimidated by it. But then just with everything that's been going on in the world, and our church has also been doing a series going through the end times, it really encouraged me to just go through it and to study it a little bit more, and to not put all this pressure on myself to understand everything at once, but to just go through it. And it has been so good. I don't think I'm at the point where I'm like ready to do a full-on Bible study with me series going through it anytime super soon, but I have thought about sharing maybe just a couple videos here and there, sharing just things that I've learned as I've gone through it so far. So let me know if that's something that you would be interested in. But I also wanted to share with you the sort of like note-taking, highlighting method that I've been using as I've gone through the book of Revelation. I feel like in the past I've tried to be like a doodly girly, and I do love me a good doodle here and there, and I do still do them sometimes, but I feel like a lot of the times when I do try to do like a doodle in my Bible, I end up just feeling like it looks messy because I'm not like super artsy. And I do think that I tend to prefer just like clean lines, clear note taking. And so what I've been doing is, as I take notes in the margins of my Bible about different things in the passage, I've actually been drawing like a box around that note to delineate it or distinguish it from the next note. And then I'll highlight that note in the same color that I highlighted the verse that that note is about. So it kind of connects the two. And for me, especially with the book of Revelation, where there's just like so many different things to learn, and I'm having to like try my best not to write down every single thing in like the margins of my Bible, it's just helped to make things really clear and still just like aesthetic and artsy and, you know, all the fun things. And of course, I have been using my Mr. Pen Bible highlighters. I've talked about these so much because they're truly all I use. They are the best Bible highlighters literally ever. These are made specifically for your Bible, which means they won't bleed through the thin pages of your Bible, which is super important because aesthetic is fun, but if we've got all these heavy colors that are bleeding through and detracting from our ability to actually read the words of the Bible, then it's missing the point. And so these are all I use. They've got super cute colors. Lately I've been into like the green, earthy, light pink tones. I feel like I'm always into those tones. Who are we kidding? But these are the absolute best. They're also sold on Amazon, which is super convenient. And then I love Mr. Pen as well because they're a Christian company and they've got all sorts of different pens and highlighters. I feel like I always share these ones, but I also use their like thicker tip felt pens for my journaling notebooks, and then their ballpoint pens to take the actual notes in my Bible because they also won't bleed through. So they've got everything you need. If you want to try out Mr. Pen, you can get 10% off your first order using my code Kaci Nicole, and I'll have that linked down below. I don't actually have a ton of work to get done today, so I think I'm just gonna do a bit more reading until whenever Judah gets up from his nap, and then we have a few fun errands to run. We're gonna go get groceries, and then I also need to go to Target to get a couple things for Judah's first birthday party, which is coming up in a few weeks. I cannot believe he is almost a full year old. I literally cried multiple times just thinking about it as I've been planning his party, and I'm not gonna cry again right now. But we are gonna do his birthday party when my parents are actually here, like the week after Thanksgiving. They're gonna be here visiting, and my brother and sister-in-law are, and nieces and nephew as well. So I'm excited that we'll have both sides of the family to celebrate his party. I am doing a wild one theme for him because, you know, Judah, Jesus is the lion of the tribe of Judah. So I just feel like all of his stuff has been lion themed, and his favorite stuffed animal in the world is his little lion stuffed animal. So I'll throw a couple inspiration pics up here. But there's a couple things we need to get at Target, and that's sort of the plan for the next little part of the day. So we'll check in a bit. It's looking like today is a 2-hour nap day. He's actually still going. So I finished reading I read some Revelation and also in 1 Peter. And then I decided to read some of this book. So this book is called Seated with Christ, Living Freely in a Culture of Comparison. My friend Kendra, she has a YouTube channel here as well. I'll link it above if you want to check it out. But when I posted my last video before the break, I talked about comparison and how that was just part of why I felt like I just needed to take a little break for a bit. And she texted me that she had been reading this book and recommended it. It is so scripturally sound, so convicting, and also so encouraging at the same time. And so I just wanted to mention that if you also struggle with comparison, I feel like we all do to some degree or at different times just living in a social media world, highly recommend this book. I'm only a couple chapters in because I've been trying to really just process everything and journal about everything rather than just getting through it, because I'm such an achiever that sometimes I just blow through a book and then I'm like, wait, how did this actually transform me? So I'm going through it slowly, but it's very good. Highly recommend. I cherish these little post-nap snuggles so much because Judah's such a busy boy these days. He likes to move and do all the fun things, so I feel like I don't get as many cuddles. But he always wants to cuddle after his nap, and I love being his mama so much. There's literally no words to describe how thankful I am for this boy. Say good morning. Did you know that I love being your mama? You bring so much joy to my life and Daddy's life and everyone who meets you. And God has such great purposes for your life that He planned before you were even born. He prepared for you to walk in them, Papa. I love you. Look at this boy. Oh, here's our little fits. Mine is this Amazon set that I've been living in for fall. Judah's is the only one that matters. Do we see this cute boy? I just got Judah down for his second nap, and I'm gonna try to do a little bit of cleaning, one, because it needs it. By the way, the chairs are on the table because I'm about to vacuum, and the trash, Judah will get into it, so it's up high. Anyhow, gonna do some cleaning because we're also hosting tomorrow. So I mentioned this on Instagram before my break. I don't think I mentioned it here on YouTube though, but Tyler and I had been praying about either getting involved with helping with like the young adults group at our church or with leading a small group. And we really loved the idea of helping out with young adults because if you don't know mine and Tyler's story, we actually met through serving in our previous church's high school youth group together. And so it felt like, oh, we can kind of do like a similar thing. And we really love the pastor who is running the young adults group at our church. But I went the first week with Judah. Tyler's been going every week because he's helping with worship. I went the first week with Judah, and I think we just quickly realized that in this season of life, like helping in a ministry that starts at 7 p.m. is just a lot, because you're either like trying to get home or like pushing bedtime late, or yeah, it was just not good with like bedtime routines and stuff like that. And we really loved the idea of hosting a small group because it could be more like an intimate community time, and we can host here, and then I just like sneak away for 10 minutes to put Judah down for his bedtime, and I can come back and we can stay and talk with people and everything. So anyways, we decided to do that. Last week was our first week, and it was so good. We've been going through the book of Colossians, which I actually have an entire Bible study with me series here on YouTube if you want to go through that book. But it was just a really sweet time of community, and we're really looking forward to seeing what God continues to do through that. And so anywho, that's like a little update, but I was letting you know that because I'm about to clean so that we're ready for that tomorrow. I'm guessing Judah's nap won't be very long, especially since he took a really good one this morning, and so we'll see what we can get done, but most likely I'll have to finish cleaning when he gets up. I've shared before that it's a desire of ours to buy a home, and we do keep an eye on listings as they come up, but honestly, right now is just not a great time to buy. San Diego is already one of the most expensive places to live in the entire country, and then when you take a look at what interest rates are right now, things are just a little bit crazy. A while back, I was feeling some discontentment over this, of just wishing we had more space, wishing we had a backyard for Judah, and these aren't bad desires, but discontentment is not what God calls us to. As I was feeling this way, I decided to do a full deep clean of our condo. I'm talking about getting those nooks and crannies that usually go untouched, going through and getting rid of so much stuff and just purging and decluttering. And when I was done, I found that I had so much joy for exactly where we live. It increased my joy, it increased my contentment. I found myself admiring our view of the palm trees from our condo, admiring the light, bright, airy openness of our space, and actually feeling thankful that we didn't have more space to clean, because cleaning is a lot of work. I know this isn't anything revolutionary that I'm sharing, but this experience reminded me that when we care for the things that God has entrusted us with, it actually increases our care for those things. It increases our joy that we have in those things, our gratitude, our contentment. Most of us have something that we're waiting for or longing for, and I just want to share the reminder that godliness isn't just waiting well for the seasons or the chapters that we hope God is going to bring us into. It is also practicing contentment in exactly where He has us right now, and stewarding the things that He has already given us right now well. Because when we do those things, not only does it increase our joy and our gratitude and our contentment in exactly where we are, but it also actively reminds us that God has given us everything we need. I'll link all the cleaning supplies and products I use down in the description in case you're interested, but I had to call one out. This is a reusable duster I found on Etsy. I know, so random, a duster, but this thing works better than any duster I've ever used before, and it's reusable, so when you're done, you can just pull it off, throw this guy in the laundry, and it's so satisfying not to have to like keep buying new ones. Judah is being a little drummer boy over here. Say hi, Bubba. Hi, Bubba. It is a couple hours later, almost 8 p.m., and I am just now sitting down to tell you about my sabbatical, which is like the whole point of this video. But I just got Judah down for the night, and Tyler is at the church doing worship for the young adults group, so I'm just now getting a moment And where do I start? So honestly, my sabbatical was just super sweet. I mentioned before that I feel like it wasn't fully what I thought it was gonna be. And what I mean by that is I think that without even maybe consciously realizing it, I think I had the expectation that I would come away from it with like this big realization or this big thing that I learned. And there really wasn't. I think more than anything, it just felt like my soul was being recharged, which I know sounds super cheesy, but like I've shared before, for 9 years, I was working a full-time job and then also doing YouTube and content on top of that, which in and of itself is very much a full-time job. And then from that, for the past 11 months, I've been learning what it looks like to be a mom while still doing YouTube and content and everything. And so I'm just very used to being very efficient with my time and maximizing every moment, just like packing everything into a day. And so I think for the first time in a really long time, definitely that I could remember, during this sabbatical, I feel like I just had a space to fully be, and I had margin to be fully present in every single moment and not always thinking about the next thing that needs to get done. So whether that was my time with God or playing with Judah or my conversations with Tyler or going to Target just because or planning play dates on a whim or doing fun things that I've always wanted to do that aren't necessarily productive or efficient or achieving something like sourdough bread. I always wanted to do the cliche baking sourdough bread, which is something I attempted over this sabbatical, but it was a major fail because I could not get the sourdough starter to work. So if you have any tips, leave them down below because I'm still trying to figure that out. But anyways, just doing all the things and being fully present in those things. In the middle of our sabbatical, about halfway through, we also went to Wyoming. So Tyler planned a little surprise trip for us to go up there and visit a mentor friend couple of ours, Buzz and Tara. I've talked about them before, so it was super sweet time with them. So all that to say, it was a really sweet time, but there wasn't like this big takeaway or thing that I learned other than maybe the fact that intimacy with God is the most important thing, and God is calling us to intimacy. He wants our hearts, our relationship. He wants being with Him more than He ever wants us doing things for Him. And of course, the doing for Him, the serving Him is going to flow from our being with Him. But if we ever get to the point where we're missing that being with Him, we're missing the point, because that is the point of all of it. And so for me, just like being reminded of that, experiencing that, being with God without having to have some big thing that I took away from it really was the point of it all. And that's my encouragement to you, that if you are feeling dry, if you are feeling far from God, do what you need to do to put those boundaries in place, to carve out that space to be with Him and to hear His voice. I think of the story of Elijah in 1 Kings 19, I believe it is, where God is, there's this big wind and then this big earthquake and then this big fire. But in each of those big events, it says, but God was not speaking in those things. But then the voice of God, it came to Elijah in a still small voice. It was in this quiet space where the noise was blocked out when Elijah heard from God. And so I feel like sometimes we need to just tone that extra noise out of our lives to really get in tune with the voice of God, to reconnect with Him. And really that's what this break was for me. I also mentioned that something I was not at all anticipating happened, and that was that, I thought that by the end of the break I would be like itching to get back and like so ready to just jump back into it. And honestly, that's how I feel now. I feel super excited to be back, but I was actually supposed to come back a week sooner than I did. So last week I was supposed to be filming my first video back, and I was getting ready to do it, and honestly I just didn't feel quite ready, and I felt like God was putting it on my heart to push the break back or out just one more week to make it a full month. And I feel like part of that was like a practical thing where I was like implementing some processes that I feel like are gonna help prevent me from getting back to that place of feeling burnt out and some of the things I was feeling before. So some of that was practical, but honestly I feel like a part of it was almost like an exercise in trust and God inviting me to be like, do you truly believe that intimacy with me, that obedience to me is the most important thing? That even though you've said it was gonna be a 3-week break and now changing it, like, are you going to trust me and follow me in what I'm guiding you to do? And so that is why I pushed it back another week, and it ended up being a month when I said it was going to be 3 weeks. And that little bit of extra time, I feel like, was just exactly what my soul needed. I mentioned before that as of like 2 weeks ago now, we haven't been doing any more night feeds with Judah. And so for the first time in 11 months, I've been sleeping fully through the night without, getting up once to feed him. And strangely enough, I feel like I've almost felt more tired, and it's almost like my body had like this huge deficit of sleep that it's now like, oh, I'm getting all the sleep I need, and it's like allowing itself to feel that full need. And I feel like it's almost the same thing when you're super dehydrated and then you finally get water. Like you almost kind of feel more thirsty because your body's just like soaking in all that it needs. And I feel like that was me with the sabbatical, and God was like, you just need like one more week to get to that place of not just like beginning to quench the dehydration, but really like stabling out. And I don't know if any of this is making sense, but just a reminder that God's guiding in our lives is truly for our good, and obedience to him is what yields the blessing. And so I am back now. I'm super excited to be back and to just kind of continually be figuring out the rhythms and the boundaries that are going to allow me to maintain more of that space and margin in my life, even now, like being back in work and social media and all the things. And so if you have specific like boundaries around social media or things that have really helped you just prioritize and protect that time with God, even amidst just busy lives, I would love to hear your thoughts down below, and I'll just continue to share the things that I learn as we go. But I wanted to remind you that if you want to try out my Mr. Pen favorite Bible highlighters, you can get 10% off your first order on Amazon with my code Kaci Nicole. I'll have that linked down below as well. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.